Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Jaipur, there lived a young woman named Riya. She was a single mother in her late 20s, juggling a full-time job at a small accounting firm while raising her 7-year-old son, Aarav. Life had always been a series of compromises for Riya, filled with countless sacrifices. Yet the biggest challenge of her life was about to unfold. One evening, Riya sat at her kitchen table, staring at a letter she had just received. It was an offer for a high-paying managerial job in Mumbai. This job promised financial security and the opportunity to give Aarav a better future. But it came with a cost. She would have to leave her comfort zone, uproot her life, and move to a city where she knew no one. The thought terrified her. That night, as Aarav slept, Riya stayed awake, torn between two paths. She could remain in Jaipur, where life was predictable but stagnant, or take a leap of faith and embrace the unknown. The fear of failure gripped her, but a quiet voice inside urged her to consider the possibilities. The next morning, Riya confided in her neighbor, Mrs. Sharma, a retired schoolteacher who often watched Aarav when Riya worked late. Mrs. Sharma listened intently, then said, "Riya, life is like a blank canvas. Every choice we make adds a stroke of color. Some strokes are bold, some hesitant, but together they create a masterpiece. You can't paint your best work if you're afraid to pick up the brush." Riya pondered her words, but remained undecided. A week later, while waiting for a bus, she met a cheerful young man named Kabir, a street artist. Noticing her pensive look, Kabir struck up a conversation. Riya shared her dilemma, and Kabir told her his story. 3 years ago, I was an engineer with a secure job, but my passion was art. I left everything to pursue it, and it was the scariest decision I ever made. There were times I doubted myself, but every stroke I painted taught me something new. That choice shaped the life I live today, a life full of meaning and joy. That night, Riya stared at the letter again. Kabir's story and Mrs. Sharma's wisdom echoed in her mind. She realized that fear was a part of every great decision, but so was courage. The next day, as she walked Aarav to school, she stopped by the playground. Aarav was climbing a tall slide for the first time, hesitant and scared. He looked back at her, and she smiled encouragingly. With a deep breath, Aarav climbed to the top and slid down, his face lighting up with joy. In that moment, Riya understood. Every choice she made would shape not only her life, but Aarav's as well. If she wanted him to be brave and embrace challenges, she had to lead by example. With a renewed sense of purpose, Riya accepted the job. The transition wasn't easy. There were days she doubted her decision, but with each small victory, a friendly co-worker, a good school for Aarav, a sense of belonging in a new city, she grew stronger. Years later, as Riya watched Aarav graduate from college, she reflected on that life-defining choice. The decision to leave Jaipur had been her boldest stroke, and it had painted a future she once thought impossible. Every choice, big or small, shapes the person we become. Fear will always whisper doubts, but courage lets us turn uncertainty into opportunities. Remember, the path to growth often begins with a single step into the unknown.